Tommy.
Hello.
Hello, Tommy.
How how are you, Sir Boss?
I'm always doing great. I live a wonderful life, blessed to spend it with many people, including my trans comrades. How you doing?
I'm good. This is interesting. I think I'm actually one of your oldest viewers. I've been following you since the first stream you ever did.
All right, well, let's see if we can ruin that streak today. Hit me up. What's your contention?
Okay. Well, actually, I disagree with you with a lot of things, actually.
Mhm.
Cop issues, economics, your takes on music, anime, whatnot.
All
I
right, well,
think we actually
we'll
disagree
ignore
with.
the music and anime and I think focus on the other issues because I don't want to
Okay,
blow you out
okay,
too hard. Hit me up.
okay. Weasley debate tactics. Okay. Uh, well, okay. So this is my issue. I feel that the best way to advocate for certain trans issues, in general, like for example, to your average chatty person, not us enlightened people in the chat. It's for example, if you tell someone that the moment they say "I am a woman" or "I am a man," they are a man. I don't know. I feel like it's very because I feel there is validity in true scummy arguments. As weird as that sounds.
Yeah, but
Uh,
so just because an argument is more intuitively understandable doesn't mean it's a better argument. If I wanted to just default to arguments that are simple and wrong, then I wouldn't be doing any of the stuff that I do on here, you know? Like a lot of the arguments that I have rely on like a fairly nuanced understanding of social dynamics, but like I'm not going to advocate for something wrong um just so you know, just so
well,
it's easier to understand. I think that for the most part, like critical gender theory is pretty easy to piece together. You know, if you just run down the list of things that gender can conceivably be, like eventually you arrive at the conclusion that it's pretty arbitrary, and identification is the only like meaningful threshold.
okay, I guess I can sort of agree with you there, but I was speaking more about the fact that it's easier to advocate for certain issues. Like, let me provide an example. You have said that a lot of the time, the way you argue, using some form of ableist slurs or not necessarily racial slurs, but being just the edgy provocateur you are,
Hmm.
you said that that's easier way to bring in people. Like, instead of, for example, like debating like a woke school, for example, like being like tiptoeing around everything, right? So I feel that maybe the best way to for someone like you or Destiny to advocate for certain trans issues is to advocate through the truth, the quote unquote true scum mentality.
Yeah, but the difference is when I am edgy, that's just the way I explain arguments, whereas using true scum arguments would be me being wrong. That's the difference. I'm willing to use different rhetorical devices to convey a point, but using true scum arguments would just be like delivering an incorrect point. So it wouldn't like it's I don't think it's comparable. I guess it would be easier for some people to understand, but it's not enough. I mean, and there are tons of trans people that aren't helped by that, um,
Oh,
definition.
okay. Okay, well, okay, let me see. So, okay, let me speak to you for example. I'm sort of going to try to defend that point. Let's say if you have someone who's like in the privacy of their own bedroom and for whatever reason they don't want their family or their friends to know that they're a man identifying a woman or vice versa, and they say, you know what, I'm a woman, but they put no effort into changing that. All it is them in their head saying it, but they still like dress as a man or as a woman, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And they live out their life in that way. So is it fair to say that, oh, they're a woman in comparison to like a trans woman who's been transitioning for a year or put some effort into it? You know what I mean? Because
Yeah,
you
of
have said in
course.
the past where like you're a woman, just like remember that joke that you said about the genie where it's like I want to be a woman, and then poof, you're a woman but nothing has changed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, that's because there's a difference between being a woman and being feminine. The trans woman who puts a bunch of effort into the makeup and dresses and stuff may be more feminine than the trans woman who just goes boy mode all the time, so to speak. But they're both women. It's just a matter of presentation.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just feel like in society we haven't reached that point. I don't know. It's
Well, I'm
just
not.
because
Well, I'm not making arguments over whether we've reached any point. I'm just saying what is and is not like the case. We can't.
Hmm.
We can't jump back and forth between like, well, I believe this or that is true, but then like, oh, well, okay, well, I believe this and that is easier to argue. I'll figure out the optics on the arguments, but right now I'm more concerned with what is, with what is true, with what is just. And I think that that definition of gender, generally speaking, leads to the fewest number of people being harmed.
Okay, I feel you on that. Okay, I guess you're sort of right. Do you mind if I change gears for something, or do you want to get back to playing the game?
No, you can change gears. Hit it up.
Okay, so the police thing. Okay, so I'm not a police officer for the record, but I have worked with the police for a fair amount of time. I'd say a few years,
Hmm.
and a lot of the things that you say about them, I am arguing anecdotally or from feels, here, but like when you work, Bosch, like whether a homeless. Okay, let me tell your audience, like uh, dealing with people is very hard. Like when you see a homeless person, despite what your audience may think, homeless people can be really scary and they can be unpredictable. Like no one wants to be homeless. So there's obviously a lot of mental health issues and addiction involved. So when they see like a big bad cop, like abusing, like the old story you were talking about, I'm sure there's a lot more to it than what you said about it. But yeah, just I don't know. And even with these riots, I don't know. I think the
Well,
narrative you're giving is very wrong.
what point are we arriving at right now? I don't deny police have a difficult job.
I the only like for okay, let me read it. I think the whole like defund the police or getting rid of the police is a pipe dream. It's never gonna happen. Maybe like provide more funding and getting them to do de-escalation training, but in terms of like reducing to the point where they are at now with the gear or the amount of power they hold, I don't know. I just think it's never going to happen, and we shouldn't
Wh-
want it to happen. I mean, police
Wait,
for
wait,
the
wait,
most
wait,
part
wait.
keep our
Okay,
society safe.
so let's step it back. If we can
Sure.
increase the funding on the police, we absolutely can decrease the funding on the police. Many city, departments consistently up the funding that they provide to the police. If we know they can do that, I mean, we can absolutely defund them if we need to. The question is, like, how do we do that in the most effective way, and to what extent should we do that? But I don't think there's anything wrong or even pipe dreamy about the goal.
I don't know.
You
I
know what fights
personally,
crime better than police officers?
what?
Social entitlement programs, free contraception, investing in infrastructure in impoverished neighborhoods, social welfare programs. These things this is provable, by the way. These things decrease crime way more than cops. Why let a social problem fester and then pay 100,000 a year for the fucking salary of a cop plus all the millions in equipment and training associated with that, when you could just spend $10,000 20 years earlier and like fix some of the social problems that would have led to the increase in criminality?
So why can't you have all that stuff alongside the police?
Well, because if we invest more in social programs, we won't need as many police as we have. Like
Oh,
like
so you
we don't
so
need the
I'm
number of
sorry. Go ahead.
cops we have, right? Like if we could cut down on crime by 50%, then we wouldn't need to keep the number of cops we currently have.
Okay, so you're not about abolishing the police then.
Abolishing the police as they exist is fine, but usually that means replacing it with like a community police force. When people say abolish the police, they don't usually actually mean like have no law enforcement whatsoever, because that'd be kind of crazy. I guess it's sort of a dumb term in a lot of ways, but you know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just the whole narrative from the whole, I think it's what do you call it, BreadTube Twitter. It's a lot of them are for the idea of abolishing the police or having. I've even seen some people advocating for militias, which is seems because like there's always going to be a strong man who's going to rule over the sheep or shepherd the sheep or whatever. There,
Well,
there has to be that person.
when they say militias, they mean community militias, which usually just means community policing. But I agree, anyone who uses the term militia as a possible substitute to our modern day police force is a LARPer. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so I wouldn't advocate for that. Militia, I mean, why would you want like a military occupation of a city? Like what? Militia is literally like the derivative term is like military. Like that's probably not what we should be, uh, working on.
Yeah, but okay, but just for the record, there's always going to be a cop like arresting a black dude, and it feels like the narrative around the whole police, like the police bad right now, is that like we don't want cops going near a black person, or if they do go near a black, that's inherently wrong in itself. Like you should be leaving them alone. I don't know.
Whoa, wait.
It's
I don't
just the
think
narrative of
anyone
it.
has a problem with cops being near black people. I don't think that's like the
If
thing
not,
people complain about. Like,
it seems like it's that way.
no, it's not. It's that when they kill black people. It's not when they like go next to black people.
I don't know.
Wait, wait,
I
wait, wait,
guess.
wait, wait. Where are there any marches or rallies about like maintain a 20-foot distance between all officers and all people of color? I mean, I have my yeah, I mean I don't have my
Well,
finger on the pulse of like every rally. Like is
well,
that happening or hello?
whole authorities or anything like
Wait,
that.
wait, you
Yeah.
wait,
Oh,
wait,
can
wait,
you hear
wait,
me?
wait. You cut out for like 10 seconds. Can you start
Oh,
again?
my bad. Oh yeah, we were. I said that like, isn't that the whole idea behind abolish the police or defund the police? You don't want police officers like even going near minority groups or people of color, trans people,
No, it's that
whichever.
police are shit at their jobs. Crime is down, like, massively, but police are getting more and more bloated and expensive. They never fucking de-escalate. Police do a horrible job maintaining, like, lowering crime rates in our communities. It has nothing to do with, like, being near people of color. I mean, usually you have to be near a person of color to murder a person of color, so I guess, like,
That is
one
true.
kind of leads into the other, but, you know.
Yeah, I guess so. But I don't know. It's just, in my opinion, even if we one day reach our or reach the whole anarchistic side, there's always going to be crime. There's always going to have to be some form of a police system. It's always got to exist. And I don't know. I think
Yeah, but
instead of
I'm
getting
agreeing
rid
with
of the
that. Yeah,
police,
like we should have
yeah,
community policing, but right now the police in this country are fucking broken. Like the police in this country, it's like a disgusting institution with no accountability that don't seem to really give a fuck about like serving the public and only give a fuck about their own
oh,
interests. We have like no systems of accountability for modern
Uh,
police in
okay,
America.
I really disagree with you. Most officers really care about the public, and Vosh, like there's millions upon millions of interactions. We hear about the small percentages, like less than 1% of times where it goes bad and someone gets hurt. Like
You,
I don't mean
things don't
to.
have to people don't have to get hurt for an interaction to be bad. The police in China are authoritarian, but they have fewer like cop murders and fewer arrests than people in America do. It's not
Yeah,
about the actual rate of killing, it's about the atmosphere. And as it stands, police pretty much just act like an occupying military force in the communities that they're in, especially in
yeah,
bigger cities.
yeah. Like, and also this is a stat. Do you know what use of force is?
Yeah, 81% of
Yeah.
offers say they've seen an officer use excessive force. 61% of cops said they would not report it. Like, this is a widespread issue, this pervasive, gang like reflexive defense of the behavior of other police, you know?
Yeah, but like yeah, because from the stats that I've learned through police officers, less than 1% of calls actually end in use of force. So I think it's sort of bad to say that most like there's this epidemic of police gangs going around hurting people. Most of the things they do is
Wait,
protect
wait,
things
but
like
there is like compared to other comparable countries, we have way more police violence, than those countries do. So like there is an epidemic. Like less than 1% isn't that much if you're like trying to get a drop rate in a video game, but less than 1% can be a fuck ton when there are nearly 1 million police officers in this country.
I guess that is true, but I don't know. Personally, most of what police do is like responding to domestic violence calls, where they're usually taking out a person who's being hurt by their spouse or getting homeless teens off the street.
What does
What
getting
else?
homeless teens off the street mean to you?
I mean, like literally, what I'm saying is getting homeless. Like, if there's people under the age of 18, they usually get them into
You
the
do know
care
that the
system.
the the interactions between police and homeless people are not like favored by homeless people.
Yeah, because a lot of homeless people are like they
No,
have drug
because
addictions
police
or
will
mental health
literally just
issues.
harass homeless people and break up their
That is,
camps.
okay, Vosh, that is not okay. Yeah, because most of those camps have crime going on in them, or drug
No,
addiction,
because
or
those can't
violence.
because the business owners in that neighborhood don't like the camps. That's why. Trust me, I lived in one of the homeless capitals of California. Police are literally just called to shoo off homeless people or to destroy their camps because it brings down property values. They don't do
Yeah,
crimes there.
okay, Vosh, I'm gonna give a real hot take here, but like typically, it's wrong and terrible to say, but homeless people can ruin a neighborhood.
Wait, wait, wait,
Like
wait, wait.
so,
Wait, wait, wait. Lowering property values isn't a justification for police destroying the personal property of homeless people in their encampments. And you're not
well,
fixing
it's
the issue, then they just move to another area.
but yeah, I'm saying they could put them into homeless shelter. It's like at that point, what do you like? What kind of officer do then? Like, what do
Nothing. You
you
don't do
suggest they do?
anything. You
So
respond if
you
a
just
crime is being committed. That's the job of
you
cops. If a crime is happening, you respond.
so you just let them ruin the neighborhood or
What
ruin
do
the
you mean
area
ruin
with
the
drug
neighborhood?
addiction. Vosh, do you know what East Hastings Street in Vancouver is?
No, I don't know what a specific street in Vancouver is.
It's like if you go to it, it's basically like a homeless
Okay, this is irrelevant.
shanty town, and there's needles everywhere in
Cops,
front of. But I'm just saying, like it
how
ruins the
about cops
neighborhood.
respond if a crime happens, and if a crime isn't happening, they don't do anything?
Well, there usually is crime happening. There's drug abuse. There's violence. Typically, okay, and
Wait,
it's
wait,
sad
wait,
to say, but a
you're
lot
just
of homeless
completely
people.
making stuff up right now. So
I'm not making
the
stuff up.
claim that
Hold
I
on.
made was that cops will literally just find homeless people to like harass out of neighborhoods and they'll break up homeless camps. I've seen this happen multiple times. I have personally gone to a town hall to publicly reprimand a police chief because during that town hall, while he was talking about better integrating homeless people into the community, he had his officers break up 2 homeless camps in legally sanctioned areas where no crimes had been reported, specifically because of local business owner complaints. I promise you, officers just fuck with homeless people because it serves the interests of capital owners. Like, that's it. If the homeless people are committing crimes or threatening people, yeah, of course they should be arrested, obviously. But that's not usually what's going on.
I don't know. I think it is. Most homeless people are overrepresented in mental health issues, which, what can you say? Mental health issues usually sometimes can instigate violence.
No,
If you look at our
people with mental
prisons,
health issues are far more likely to have violence enacted upon them than to commit violence upon others. Mental health issues doesn't mean they're like sitting in like a gas station like corner with a knife waiting to stab some woman who walks around. It usually means they want quiet and they just want to make it through their day and they have like trouble parsing together information.
maybe Vash. I don't know. Honestly, like, just you said you've worked security before, right?
Yeah.
In the past, like I have too, and I don't know. You said I think it was a shoe store. Like, if you ever dealt with homeless people, a lot of the time,
Yeah,
like
all the time. Wait, hello? You cut out again.
it
Wait, you
oh,
cut
my
out.
bad, my
You
bad.
said all the time and then you cut out.
Oh, okay. So let me repeat what I was saying. Like you've worked security, so I'm sure you've dealt with your fair share of homeless people. Like they can be unpredictable, and they can like sort of ruin a neighborhood
What do
or
you
be dangerous for certain.
wait, don't use these nebulous terms ruin a neighborhood. They either commit crimes or they don't. Police are not there to arrest people who are ruining the neighborhood. Loud neighbors ruin a neighborhood. A bad house paint job ruins a neighborhood. We're talking about crime. Yeah, I worked
Yeah.
security, and yeah, I was asked to take a lot of homeless people out, and I never did. Because fuck them. I don't give a fuck what I'm told to do. Those homeless people just wanted to come in to use the bathroom and wash their faces before going back out there to live another day of their miserable subsistence existence. I'm not going to ruin their fucking day and cost them out and make their lives measurably worse so I can avoid like 4 or 5 uppity fucking Karens in my store complaining that they had to briefly smell a person who hasn't showered in 3 days. I don't care. I have never, in 2 years of doing that, not a single homeless person ever posed a material threat to anything in the store. Not a person, not property either. They just wanted to use the bathroom.
Man, I don't know these bougie homeless people you've dealt with versus the ones I've dealt. I don't know. The ones I've dealt with have all been either violent or had drug addictions or mental health issues, and
I didn't say anything
and
about
they
mental health issues. I'm sure many of the people that I talk to had mental health issues. I have mental health issues. If they're violent, call the cops. I don't know what you mean by drug issues. Like you look at them and they look like they have drug issues. A lot of people have drug
like
issues, whether or not they're homeless.
well in the a lot of substance abuse issues, I guess. Like for example, like a lot of where homeless people like they congregate, you could find needles, a lot of drug dealing happening,
Yeah.
a higher rate of assaults.
Yeah,
Like
wait. So if assaults happen, arrest the assaulter, and drugs are also used massively in the non-homeless population. They use less drugs than the average population because they're broke. They just don't have a place to
but
put their needles.
but they
When
use
I
more
want to
hard
do
drugs.
heroin, I can pay for a chauffeur to show up and I will place my used needle on a little velvet pillow and they will take it away to the disposal unit, okay? When a homeless person
You cut out. You cut out. Could you repeat what you said?
when a homeless person does drugs, it's more publicly noticeable because they don't have a home. They don't have a box they can do crimes in like everyone else, like I do. I don't care if many drug users are drug addicts. We should get them care and help. Like it's a medical issue.
Well, yeah, and believe it or not, a lot of cops do that. Like they do try to get homeless people help because it doesn't benefit them to have like drug abuse and people living on the
No,
street. It makes
no,
everyone else feel unsafe.
no. Cops do not do
Uh,
that. I don't know what kind of hippy dippy town you lived in, okay? I've lived in 4 towns now in my life for a significant period of time. That's not what they do. Cops round homeless people up or they chase them out. Social workers try to help out homeless drug addicts, which is one of the reasons I make the argument that we should replace some of the jobs of a cop with social workers, because they actually do stuff like that. We have to treat drug abuse like a medical issue, not like a criminal issue. But you like treating it like a criminal issue, which I know because you're justifying cops breaking up homeless encampments because they have needles there.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. I stand by that. Like, why give crime? Why give like time for crime to develop by
Wait,
allowing homeless people to congregate in a
it's
certain
not
area?
developing. You realize that letting homeless people have camps and actually get their lives together a little bit is the first step to them getting their actual lives together, right? When you break them up and just force them to just sow them to the winds, you're increasing the likelihood that they're going to be a long-standing issue. It's literally just tripping them up as they try to climb back into society.
I don't know, Vosh. I think like because typically like it's hard for homeless people to get help. So I think breaking them up is probably just the best solution for
No,
them. Because
no, 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 no.
what?
You're factually incorrect. Breaking up homeless encampments doesn't help them in the slightest. You're just wrong. Like that's just a
Okay,
factually. It's the worst thing you could do. Why would you? Wait, if you're thinking like, imagine you're a homeless person and you're in a homeless encampment, okay? And you have a tent and you have the few material possessions you've managed to keep together, and like like, how do I get my life back on track? Well, I need a PO box so that I can have an address listed for when I apply for a job. I need to get showers together. All these things require having a space where you can keep your items. And then cops show up one morning when you're out and they break the whole camp up and break your shit and everything's gone. Do you think that's like a positive? Are you thinking right now like, oh, thank you, police, for setting me on the path to righteousness. Now it will be easier for me to get my life together. Or do you think it's like just fucking them up?
I don't know, Vosh. Most homeless people aren't looking to get their
This
lives
isn't an
together. Most
answer
of
to
them
what
are
I
just
just said. You keep doing like the circle. Like you're like,
okay.
well, it's the best for them to do this, and then I say no, it's not. And you're like, well, they don't even want to improve. Like it's not a response. You're Mott and Baileying me.
Okay. You know what? I'm not gonna lie to you. I'll give you my sort of my true opinion. I just think that the homeless people in situation like uh, I, it's hard to say. Like,
Just say it. Just
I just
say
think
it. We know you think it anyway.
I don't know. I just think police should break them up with whatever means necessary because they do ruin a neighborhood and they
Yeah,
ruin an
I know,
area.
because you're like kind of a piece of shit. Yeah, you don't actually need them to even do anything illegal. You just want the cops to get the smelly people away from you.
Basically, I'm
Yeah,
not gonna
you're
lie
just like
about
a
that.
horrible person. Why would you lie and pretend you care at all about these people? Like, why not just say it?
It's
Like,
not. It's
I
not.
think the human rights of these people are less important than my convenience.
I don't know if it's convenience. I guess it's just for the convenience of everyone else around them,
No,
like the
but
Karens, quote
communities are
unquote.
made worse. Police tactics against homeless people make their neighborhoods worse. This has been well known
I
for
don't know.
decades.
I don't know. I'd rather have 10 police officers than 10 homeless people in my
Wait, wait,
area.
wait.
Vash,
The
I'm sorry to
homeless
say
people
that.
still exist. You think you're just killing them? They still
Not
exist.
not not killing them, but sort of putting them in a homeless shelter, getting them like
Yeah, put
some
them in a
resources
homeless
to pick them up.
shelter. Yeah, that's sure. But they keep breaking
Oh,
up the homeless shelters.
do they break up the homeless? What do they benefit from that? It seems like you're
Because
saying
the
cops just want to hurt people. Like
Yes!
that's
Yes! We've known this for decades. Everything that the
Vash.
police do hurts people. We know, with regards to homeless people, we know this. It's a fact. The data is clear on this. They just do it because people like you, because weaselly, stupid, morally repugnant weasels like you care more about making sure that there's no homeless encampments within half a
You're
mile of your
really stupid.
business than you do the actual health of the community. So you little fucking Karens call the cops in these encampments anytime you walk by them and smell like a whiff of civic unrest, and this perpetuates the problem because then all those homeless people get broken up and then they have nowhere to go and no chance of like restituting themselves in any way, and the problem continues for the next generation. Just
Mm,
invest. Just build these encampments, let them get their lives together, treat drug addiction like a medical problem instead of like a fucking criminal problem. Let them get their lives back together, build halfway houses so they can start getting their like feet together, spend less money on police to break up homeless encampments and more on social workers to help them become productive members of society. This is a long-term investment that benefits everyone.
hmm. Okay, I don't know. I guess history will tell which solution works better,
We already
mine or
know.
yours.
We already know. The towns that have started doing this are better. We already know the answers to this.
I don't know, Vash, honestly. I hope what you say is right. I don't know. I just think yours is a very it's a very utopian worldview.
It's literally not. You just get social workers to help them with their medical problems. That's it. This is like this data is so old it might actually be pre World War II. Like we know this. It's not utopian in any sense. you realize how dumb your solution sounds, right? Like, well, what if the police just keep like kicking them around? Like, what if we just keep kicking the can down the road forever? Like, that'll fix it. I'd rather have 10 cops in my neighborhood than 10 homeless people. Like, how does that fix the social issue?
Honestly, I don't know if there is a fixing to a social issue. I just think
What
there's always going to be homeless people,
wait,
and you just gotta work with them, sort of
do you
like a
think we can
horrible
make
disease.
less of them?
Yeah, it's possible,
So that's
but like
fixing the social issue.
if, yeah, like you can work on fixing the social issue, but the homeless people that you currently have, I think it's just best to break them up whenever possible and make sure
Why?
they don't. Because Vosh, honestly, they just ruin a neighborhood.
But what does
I'll
that
stand by that.
mean?
Like
And they
crime,
still
drug
exist.
addiction.
When you
Like
break
what do
them
we
up,
want?
they still exist.
Like yeah, but not congregating together where they can drug deal, where they can like find other
Everyone
people's
drug
connections to
deals.
drug deal. Vosh, you know what I mean? Hard drugs, heroin, cocaine,
Everyone
crack. Like
does that.
I'm not talking about some suburban white kid smoking pot in his parents'
So
basement. I'm not
hard
talking
drugs.
about
We
that.
literally have an opiate and methamphetamine epidemic in
Uh,
this country. They're being done by
yeah,
people in
but
houses.
yeah, in houses, not on the street, in front of businesses, in front of
Exactly. Exactly.
people.
So you don't care about the drugs. You care about the fact that they're on the street.
Yeah, because it reduces
So
safety and
drug abuse has
security.
nothing to do with the arguments you're making right now. You
Okay,
just
okay.
care that they're doing it
I mean,
outside. This is literally just your
yeah,
comfort.
exactly. Everyone's
Yes,
comfort,
so
not
the
yours. The
human
tax.
rights of homeless people matter less to you than your comfort. Like I said earlier,
No,
you want
everyone's
police to
comfort.
break up and destroy the personal property of these homeless people, violate their civil rights, actually physically violate precepts laid out by the Constitution of the United States because they ruin the neighborhood, because you don't like it, because it's inconvenient. And it doesn't actually fix the problem, by the way. It doesn't even like make it better for your neighborhood. It just kicks the can down the road.
Well, what if we do it enough? Maybe it will.
You would have to kill them. Do you want to do
No,
that?
no, I do not want to kill them.
So
Relax.
wait, hold
Not
this.
just, not
So
just
you
the
break
crime.
up a homeless encampment. How does that fix it if you do it enough? Do you think like there's a
Well,
space in
no,
America where you could just kick them all too and they can just live there?
okay, like you know. Okay, so you know Skid Row in Los Angeles,
I'm well
right?
aware. I've walked through it.
Yeah, yeah. I
What
never
about it?
have personally, but so if you have a group of like 20 cops that just break up all the towns and move them everywhere, try to get as many of them in homeless shelters, all of that. Like
Wait,
that's what I
cops
mean.
don't get
Like,
homeless people in homeless shelters. That's not what they do. They
oh,
don't do
oh,
that in America.
well, no, I don't want to dox myself too much, but look where I live, they do that. Like, and maybe that's the policy you should be pushing for. Like, and that's what I
Yeah,
mean.
we
I say
don't
break.
have
I don't
homeless
mean break.
shelters though.
Well, yeah, well, okay,
We
that's
don't
America's
build homeless
problem.
shelters in America. They have the state stopped building them. We have homeless encampments and then the state breaks those up too.
It's a really counterintuitive problem how you guys have in the U.S.
Yeah,
I
because
don't
we
know.
have dumbass cop worshippers who don't give a fuck about fixing social issues. They just want to make sure their neighborhood property values continue to rise.
Was that a shot at me?
Yes, that was a
Okay.
shot at you.
Okay. Well, yeah. And then honestly, people in the U.S. should be pushing for cops to open up, for the legislation to open up more homeless shelters. So when cops do break up these shanty towns that are ripe with crime, they have
They're
somewhere
not
to
rife
go.
with crime. What does that mean? You keep
Watch,
saying that.
watch there. What do you mean? Like there's of course they are ripe with
I
crime.
think you
Watch.
think
Like what
when
do
you
you
think I think maybe you've got like your wires crossed. When you think of homeless like encampment, you think of like a pirate cove. I think you imagine a bunch of people like
We're not playing Sea of
around
Thieves.
like a burning like oil drum, and they're all like, "Hey, yeah, I've got today's heroin that you can sell." Yar! Like I think you're thinking of a
No,
pirate cove, but in reality, it's
no.
literally just a bunch of exhausted, smelly people in ramshackle, torn up tents that sleep there for like 6 hours a day, so they can spend the rest of their time walking around finding a better place to live and like panhandling.
God, Wash, your view of homeless people is so romanticized and not true. I know. I'm
I
talking about
I
people that
literally
probably have
worked with my
schizophrenia.
university to address this issue. I promise you I am not speaking from a position of ignorance, okay?
Okay. Well, I don't know. I mean, it's just for me. I used to work security in a homeless shelter in my city. Oh, yeah, homeless shelter in my city. And yeah, and just the people that you dealt with, people on meth, people on crack cocaine, and I don't know, but from what I've seen, I know it's anecdotal, but it's just the experience that I've developed over the years. It's
But
a
that
lot
doesn't
of
mean
them.
breaking up their camps improves anything. It means we should medically treat their issues.
Yeah, of course. Like things, believe it or not, like safe injection sites actually help reduce crime in an area, and I do
How
believe
can
those
you
things
believe
work.
that? How can you believe
I do
cops
believe
should
that
break them up with no probable cause, but then you also believe safe injection sites are also a good idea?
because the data shows they work, and I
The
told you
data
I just
shows
don't want to.
everything I'm saying works. The data shows that
Yeah,
breaking them up
yeah,
doesn't fix homeless problems.
because like I don't know, because like when I say okay, I think we really I know the ideas I'm pushing, but when I say break them up, I mean like just get them into safe injection sites, get them into homeless
Wait,
shelters, whatever you can,
homeless
and
people are citizens. You can't just force them. What do you mean get them to a safe injection site? You mean like for like here's some drugs, like here do it in this bathroom?
no, 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 not like it, but like just sit, like if cops find them, like people doing drugs, say here, this is a safe injection site, but you got to leave this area, and we're gonna take down your tents and all that. But if you do want someplace safe to use your drugs or whatever, go to a safe
Why
injection site. And then
if
from
there
there,
are no homeless shelters in a town, you can't break up their encampments because they have nowhere else to go. They'll just find another place
okay,
to to
I,
to sleep at.
I think we're in a chicken and egg situation. Let's just assume that when I say break it up, currently for the U.S., honestly, I don't have a solution for you. But
Don't
you
break
guys
it
do
up.
need to. I don't know. Okay,
Why?
then
Why?
for
It doesn't
now,
fix anything. It doesn't lower the crime or the drug use. All it does is give them a chance to improve themselves.
well, what if you break them until you get to that point where you have safe injection sites, where you have homeless shelters? Maybe breaking them up will discourage, them to sell drugs to each
No,
other,
it
to
won't. No,
possibly
they can
assault
still
each other.
you can still sell drugs even if you don't have a camp. You just meet each other.
Yeah, but it's less. Like there's less connection.
No.
Like let's. Gosh,
No.
if you put 50 people in a spot together, they're gonna talk, they're gonna sleep with each other, they're gonna do everything.
There's
But if
still
you put
wait,
like
wait. That's
five,
not
five, five,
illegal.
that's less. Okay, but you know what I mean. Like you know what I mean. Like if you put 50 people, you congregate them in a spot, it'll reduce. Like if you break up, it'll reduce the likelihood of crime because there's not as many people interacting.
No. Not if they're
What do you mean
homeless.
no?
Cuz homeless people don't commit crimes. They don't.
They do. They do commit
No,
crimes.
they
Watch,
don't. For the
they
most
steal.
part, homeless people literally just chill
Oh
around,
my
try
god.
not to die, and occasionally get harassed by the police. These aren't like they're not like criminal gangs. You're acting like every homeless encampment is like is like this boiling pot of like gold toothed like scoundrels who are like broiling up the next batch of heroin to sell to the kids. When you see needles at homeless sites, they're not selling; they're being sold to. Dealers will go to homeless encampments to find the addicted homeless people and give them drugs because they're so fucking cracked out of their mind that they're not going to be able to make good decisions without some kind of intervention. If they were homeless, how would they be able to
Yeah.
afford these drugs to sell? Selling drugs is very profitable.
Vosh, how does one get the money to buy drugs? You commit crime, you panhandle,
No,
you
no,
do whatever you can.
wait, do you think homeless people are like robbing banks?
Not robbing banks, like
No,
stealing from stores,
no,
stuff like
what?
that.
What? No, I want a data on that. Find me data that homeless people are stealing from stores, committing felonies, easily trackable felonies, because cops know who the homeless are in their towns and could easily pick them out of a lineup because I know cops know that shit. So they can get like $6 to spend on heroin. They just panhandle.
I don't have data on me currently.
They're not.
Boss, listen, I love you, but I think I'm right here.
How how can you possibly believe that?
I don't know. It's just the experience I've had, I guess,
That's
and
not
sort of
anecdotal experience isn't an
exact
argument.
anecdotal. Yes, anecdotal, Andy. Yes, I know. I don't know. I just my experience has shaped my review, which I know is wrong. I don't know. I just think a lot of okay. This is sort of take it, but a lot of like leftist positions. I don't know. I just feel are so utopian and not within grasp. I just can't stand behind them. And this is one of those things. I just
What
you
you
know.
wait? What are your specific proposals? Because like everything you've said is like wrong. There just aren't benefits. The data is out. Like there aren't benefits to breaking up these homeless encampments unless they have a shelter to go to. And if there was a shelter to go to, they would go there instead of the encampments.
Hmm. Well, I don't know. I guess I think you and I have reached an impasse. Obviously, someone should push for more legislation to get more homeless shelters, safe injection sites, like the things that you propose. While I think a half and half, like half my plan, half your plan,
What's your
or maybe
plan?
so. Where until we get to those points of having homeless shelters on the streets in LA, for example, cops should do whatever they can to stop homeless people from congregating together and
No, it's not
and
illegal to
causing,
congregate together.
like, Vosh, when they congregate, crimes happen.
That's
It's
not,
just a
that
fact of the
doesn't give
matter.
the police probable cause to destroy their personal property and violate their constitutional rights. If there are individuals in there that you want to arrest for selling or using drugs, then do that, sure, if you have to, even though that doesn't beget good outcomes. But breaking up an entire community, that you don't. There's no legal reason for this. This is literally illegal behavior.
Mm, I don't know. I just think it's for the benefit of the Karens of the world, quote
That's not an
unquote.
answer.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we've reached an impasse here. I clearly won the debate, but let chat decide.
Have you been trolling this entire time?
No, no, no! I swear to God, no!
You
I swear to God,
realize
I
you're
have not been
literally
trolling.
advocating for the violation of human rights for no reason.
I told you, it's just I guess my experience has shaped
Your
my
experience
worldview about it.
isn't data. I don't care if you like 2 times like homeless people were really mean to you or something.
Hey, it was 3 times, but okay.
All right.
Yeah, but no, I truly think your ideas, like, they are, but I just think to the point that the current, because I do think once you allow, I know you said it's not illegal to congregate, but not everything that is currently illegal will result in crime in the future, and I
Well,
do think
hey, you know
when
what
you,
the police are allowed to respond to? Crime, not
yeah,
nuisances.
but like, to stop that crime from occurring in the future, just how you
No,
propose social workers.
why are you conservatives always like 3 arguments away from literally supporting the fucking majority report? You're literally a part of the fucking precog unit. Oh yeah, police should be able to violate the law, violate constitutional rights, and minority report. Sorry, I always bring up Sam Cedar when I mean Sam Harris, and now majority report instead of minority report. When you're literally you're like 3 arguments away from that. Like, well, actually, even though it violates their constitutional rights, maybe they will commit crime in the future, so we should just break them out just to be in case. Do you think police should be able to just shoot men on sight? Men are significantly more likely to commit violent crimes than women. I mean, being a man is kind of like a correlative factor here. It's totally possible, Maybe we should just nuke Chicago. I mean, why not, right? Chicago has a higher crime rate than neighboring cities. It doesn't really matter. Probable cause, that's so like 20th century. I don't know I can't imagine what's going on in your head right now.
That's a question for the ages. But no, they shouldn't nuke Chicago or violate people's constitutional rights. I just think we need to be proactive with crime, not reactive.
Nice meme.
Before
I banned him. Fuck that kid. Jesus Christ. Proactive with crime by doing things that don't work and violate constitutional rights, instead of being proactive with crime by addressing the social problems that lead to the behavior that this person wants to deem criminal. Hey, here's the hot answer, okay? If you you want to know my deep-held personal classist belief? Looking at homeless people makes me uncomfortable. I'm like, damn, I sure do have a lot of privilege. Oh shit, should I give this person $10,000? Damn. So here's my hot secret, okay? Want to know my secret? So to fix that, I support progressive social policies that have been actually proven to address rates of homelessness, rather than supporting the police breaking them up, which has not been shown to address that problem. That's my hot solution. You can not like being around homeless people and fix it in a way that's slightly better than, what if we just violated constitutional rights? I know, it's brilliant. It was brilliant.